Welcome back, and joining us on the show now is Peter McGuire. He's CEO at Exim Australia. Peter, hi. We've caught you just before you head for your holidays, but it continues to be very volatile, even as we are into the last week of this year now, and a truncated week at that. And with the kind of profit-taking that we've seen in precious metals, base metals, how are you reading, and what's your sense on how are we going to open 2025 in sense of allocations for some of these commodities?
Well, lovely to see you, Manisha, and wishing everyone a Merry Christmas. How are we going to see it? I tell you what, 24 has been electric. There's been no shortage as far as surprises. Have a look at King Dollar. You can't take your focus off it. It's been just dramatic. The value of that US dollar is just incredible. And crude has really oscillated. It's bounced. It's been good for trading because you've had plenty of move, and movement is what everyone wants. And how we roll into 25, I tell you what, I think if 24 was electric, I think 25 is going to be showtime, because we're going to be discussing things that no one ever thought possible with President Trump in the chair. I think that changes the footprint tremendously, Manisha.
Okay, I like that word, showtime in 2025. So, Peter, when it comes to precious metals, with the kind of gains that we have seen and the kind of uncertainties we are starting with this year with, would you continue to remain buy, and what kind of levels would you put out then for 2025 for gold and for silver?
I think, when you put your mind back a year, Manisha, and what we've seen in that year has just been tremendous. Up as high as 2,800, silver at the 33, 34 odd. You've got to stay focused on it. The underinvestment in silver, the storyline hasn't changed. I'm still going to say probably 40 is achievable sometime in 25. As far as gold, everyone thought that maybe you might see 2,500. It shot it out, to 28. 3,000's the new handle. And how much further do you see after that? Let's get to 3,000 and then we'll take a little bit of a breath. But I think that it could be a very interesting first 90 days. And strap yourself in, because I don't think for the faint-hearted, they're going to be surprised.
Oh, really, yes, they would be. And what's your sense on metals then? Because tariffs after Trump takes over and the lack of clarity on stimulus measures from China, I mean, those perhaps would be the two major things to watch out for. With that as a background, where would you want to place your bets on in metals?
Well, Manisha, if I look at copper and aluminium and nickel, I mean, I follow them in zinc and tin and all across that whole complex. They're again range bound. We thought we might see copper back up around about 10,000, and it's given up all of those gains. It's sitting at just under 9,000 at the moment. So it's, let me get through to 93, 9,400. And if there's a giddy up there, then obviously it's got some potential. But the tariff impact, as far as what President Trump's prepared to introduce, is not going to bode well for China and other nations. So I sit here and go, maybe we've just got to take our eye focus off that sector for a while until we see something dramatic happen. And I think that could happen.
And to the crude oil prices then, Peter, and 2024 is ending negative for both the crude varieties. Of course, natural gas is a different story altogether. Yeah. But as we step into 2025, would you say that the kind of bearishness that we saw in the previous quarter on how 2025 could shape up seems to be easing a bit? It seems like it's going to be a balanced market after all.
Very much balanced. And the other side, of course, is where does China engage, Manisha, as far as consumption? Do they really come out of the blocks in 25? Is this stimulus going to work across the whole fabric of the nation? What happens when President Trump hits the go button as far as more oil production and taking it up another 3 million barrels a day for 25? What impact is that going to have as far as exporting their crude and energy? So, it's this is unusual. And when you sit at that time and at that table, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised how things roll, Manisha, because you could see crude take a little bit of a hit to the downside if all that geopolitical tension gets stripped out.
And what's your sense on natural gas prices? Almost 40% up for this year. And while, of course, it's a bit of cyclical as well because we are into winter season, but this whole G7 exploring some Russian gas flows yet again. And then, of course, concerns from US pushing its own gas to various countries. I mean, there's a lot to watch here as well.
Absolutely. I mean, EU, their import, Manisha, is 16.5 million tonnes. It was a record, I believe, for LNG from Russia. So, and it is this time of the year, naturally. But, nat gas has been outstanding trade. and everyone's been stacking it. So, you know, again, you've just got to watch these markets, look for the opportunities, and when the technicals align and you look at the fundamentals, then it's off to the races. And that's been the storyline as far as nat gas. A lot of the other soft commodities as well, coffee and cocoa. I mean, they've been extraordinary over the last couple of months.
Peter, season's greetings to you. You're setting off on your holiday. Are you making a dash to the G as well for Boxing Day?
Yeah, I tell you what, we're 1-1, and I don't know how it's going to sit. The last test was a washout, as we know. We go into the fourth test, 1 apiece. May the best team win, and Merry Christmas to everyone at CNBC. Thank you very much.
Indeed, season's greetings to you as well, and wish you a very happy new year. That was Peter McGuire there of XM Australia. Manisha, thank you so much for joining in as well.